Chapter 29:38. The tremors that swept through Lioli region with ease. 1 inch. Thank you, Saint Lord. Thank you for preparing these stars here. At the border between the sanctuary and the Lioli region, the Supreme Great Elder, the Upper Water God Emperor, and a few other God Emperors led a group of people to the sanctuary in advance. Glancing at the stars that the sanctuary had prepared in advance, the Supreme Grand Elder and the others revealed a look of gratitude. The glaze calamity is also the calamity of our sanctuary and the calamity of the dazzling starry sky. You don't have to be so polite, Eastern Fire Divine Emperor. The Saint Sovereign shook his head and looked at the void in front of him. His heart was slightly cold. The Holy Lord was also worried. If the demons attacked, what would happen to the sanctuary? Even Lioli region wasn't a match for them, let alone their sanctuary region. East Fire God Emperor, let's establish a battlefront here. The Sacred Lord hesitated for a moment before speaking. Establishing a battle line was also a line of defense. This was also to prevent evil from invading. Well, we can't contact the Dragon King now, and the situation in the Dragon Palace might not be optimistic. The sanctuary is the last line of defense. Once the demons invade, we have to stop them here, otherwise... The first Supreme Elder did not finish his words, but everyone could realize the seriousness of the problem. If they could not stop it from entering the sanctuary, then a disaster would befall mankind. At that time, where could they escape to? I will now order the sanctuary disciples to get ready. The peace that has lasted for hundreds of millions of years is about to be broken. The Holy Master sighed softly. His body moved and he immediately disappeared. Soon, the news about the Lioli region spread throughout the sanctuary, causing an uproar. This was especially so when they learned that there was no news of the Dragon Palace's expedition to the Mechanic Emperor domain for half a year. The entire sacred region began to discuss this matter. The sacred region was located at the border of the Lioli region, and they began to build a large-scale battlefront. The battlefront stretched for tens of billions of kilometers, and the soldiers of the sacred region also rushed over with solemn expressions. In the void in front of the battlefront, the fleeing army of the Lioli region's people was also moving quickly. From time to time, Colored Glaze region would leave behind a planet with a teleportation array in the middle of the starry sky. Some people were left on the planet to guard the surrounding void. With the domain lord heavily injured, no one had the strength to investigate the situation of the evil army. This was the only method they could use. Once the invaders arrived, they would immediately send a message, and the guards would be able to escape through the teleportation formation. A month's time passed slowly, and the battle line in the Holy Region had been set up. Some divine emperors from the Colored Glaze region led the citizens and planets over one after another. However, compared to the population of the entire Lioli region, only 1/6 of the population had rushed over. Most of them were still on their way. Alas, who would have thought that such a day would come? The demons of Chi-Mei territory actually forced us to this point. Yeah, I heard that the domain master was heavily injured, and we had no choice but to retreat to the sanctuary. It's fine if we retreat to the sacred region. At least we can still survive. But if the demons continue to pursue us, who knows how many people will die. If the Dragon Palace had not invaded the Mechanic Imperial region, we might have had a sliver of hope if we joined hands with the Dragon Palace. The Dragon Palace was too careless. 4 god kings of the Colored Glaze region stood vigilantly on the tall tower on a planet at the border of the Colored Glaze region. They had been standing there for more than a month. Looking at the desolate starry sky, their hearts were filled with bitterness. Now they no longer hoped that they could reclaim their Colored Glaze region. Now they only hoped that the demons would not pursue them and invade the sacred region. Woo woo woo. At this moment, a unique sound was heard. What's that sound? The ears of one of the god kings twitched as he asked in surprise. Captain, look to your right. Look to your right. Not good, not good. Suddenly, the middle-aged man on the right let out a terrified roar. The other 3 turned their heads in unison and looked to their right. Sis, that's a demonic den. They're attacking. Those demons are attacking us. How can they be so fast? Oh no, we have to report this to the Lord God Emperor and the rest. The 4 god kings' expressions changed drastically as they shouted loudly. They hurriedly took out their communication stone plates and passed on the news. Brr, brr. At this moment, a series of violent roars came from the dark demonic den. The 4 of them shuddered slightly. In the void to their right, there were 2 incomparably huge demonic dens that looked like hell. Each of them was hundreds of millions of kilometers in size. From time to time, they could see pairs of blood-red eyes that were horrifying. That demonic den's speed is terrifying. Let's retreat through the teleportation formation. When the four of them saw the demonic dens flying towards them, their expressions changed drastically. They immediately went to the teleportation formation at the side. Bus. The four of them moved and instantly disappeared from the planet. After the four of them disappeared, the demonic dens continued flying towards them at a terrifying speed. In less than a minute they arrived in front of the planet. One of the devil's dens actually headed straight for the planet to devour. Rumble. The huge planet was slowly swallowed into the demonic den. Soon, a series of roars came from within the demonic den. Not long after, a displeased roar came from within. The two demonic dens stopped in the void for a few minutes and quickly flew towards the sacred region. Not good. There's news from the border of our Lioli region. Two demonic dens have appeared and are likely to chase after us. Soon the news spread to all the god emperors in the Lioli region. In the boundless void, the god emperors who were flying towards the sacred region with their planet god nation narrowed their eyes and had an ugly expression on their faces. Our Lioli region has fallen. Two demonic dens have appeared in the place we escaped from. I wonder if they will invade us. At the sacred region's battlefront, the first Supreme Elder's expression changed drastically when he received the news. He clenched his fists tightly. At the side, the sacred leader of the sacred region was also a little nervous. Even if two demonic dens invaded, it would still be a tragic war for them. I hope they won't continue to invade after occupying Lioli region. A few god emperors said with an ugly expression. If they invaded, they wouldn't be able to stop them. Once they come, we have to be prepared to fight to the death. The first Supreme Elder said with a gleam in his eyes. He had a bad premonition in his heart. The demons of Chi Mei region fed on all kinds of treasures, resources and lives. Although their Lioli region was invaded, almost everyone escaped and all the treasures were taken away. In the Lioli region where there were no humans to feed on and no treasures or resources to feed on, the demons might chase after them and hunt them down. Chapter 2939. Domain Lord and Supreme Grand Elder sent a message. Once the demon's den arrives, report to us immediately. Somewhere in the starry sky between Lioli region and Sacred region, a planet with buildings on it floated abruptly in the starry sky. At this time, the four people who had just teleported over from the planet at the border met up with the four God King experts on this planet. When the group of 8 saw the message sent by the Domain Lord and Supreme Grand Elder, their expressions were very solemn. Once the demon's den arrived at their side, it meant that the demons were attacking. At that time they had to be prepared for the worst. I hope they don't come, I hope they don't come. There are still a large number of people in our Lioli region who haven't reached the sacred region. There are too many of us. If the demon's den pursues us, we will definitely be caught up. The 8 people gathered together, muttering and praying non-stop. They stared at the void in front of them, their faces full of anxiety. Time passed day by day. In front of the sacred region's battlefront, everyone from Lioli region looked nervously at the deep void from time to time, in the direction of their Lioli region. The people from Lioli region were sent over bit by bit. But the number was too large and it would take half a year for all of them to arrive. In the center of the battlefront, the Domain Lord, the first Supreme Elder, and the Sacred Region Holy Lord sat in the center, staring at the void in front of them. They had been like this for a few days. Things are getting a little serious now. As the days passed, Invincible Warrior was also starting to panic. Lioli region was no match for the demons, and Boss Wong and the others couldn't contact them either. It was torturous. The countless people from Lioli region were also slightly silent. At this time they could only wait for news. Disaster is coming, disaster is coming. Half a month later, in the void between Lioli region and Sacred region, on the planet that was specially moved over to guard, 8 God King experts stood in a daze above a building. At this time they stared at the void in front of them, their bodies trembling. It had been half a month, they had been on guard here for half a month, and the thing they least expected to encounter had happened. 2 incomparably huge demons' dens flew over at a terrifying speed. The deep demons' den shrouded them like the depths of hell. The worst has happened. Let's inform His Majesty God Emperor and have him prepare. The 8 of them looked at each other bitterly, not daring to stay any longer. They immediately entered the teleportation formation and left, heading to the next guarded planet. The news spread to all the God Emperors at the fastest speed. At this moment, not only the celestial emperors in the void space who were moving planets and leading the people to the sanctuary quickly, But also the celestial emperors who had already reached the sanctuary and were standing on the battle platforms trembled when they received this news. Tell all the soldiers to prepare for battle. At the center of the battlefront, the domain lord said in a low voice with an extremely gloomy expression. It's the region lord. At the side, a few god emperors clenched their fists and nodded heavily. Domain lord, I don't know if you've calculated the speed of your disciples and the speed of that devil den. At this moment, the Holy Lord suddenly lifted his head and asked the territorial lord. The region lord raised his eyebrows and immediately looked at the supreme first elder and the rest. The first guarded planet we set up was set up in the starry sky after we left Lioli region for a month. From the time we found out that the Devil's Den entered the void space to the first guarded planet, it took us half a month. In other words, the speed of that Devil's Den is twice as fast as ours. The Supreme First Elder immediately calculated. As he spoke, his expression became increasingly gloomy. In other words, it won't be long before that Devil's Den catches up with the people of Lioli region. When that time comes, our people will be finished. One of the celestial emperors said with his eyes wide open. At the side, the region lord suddenly stood up with an unusually gloomy expression. Immediately send all the celestial emperors to bring the people of Lioli region with their god nations. Bring as many as you can. Holy Lord, please help us. The region lord said to the group of celestial emperors with a solemn expression as he sought help from the Holy Lord and the rest. All right, we will send the strongest battleships and a group of powerful celestial emperors to bring the god nations over. The Holy Lord nodded, frowned and continued, but Domain Lord, you know how many people there are in Lioli region. It's impossible to save all of them. Moreover, we don't just have to think about saving those people. If we don't have a way to deal with the situation after we rescue them, we will only be delaying our deaths. As the Holy Lord spoke, he sighed softly. 2 devil's dens. If we go all out, there might be hope. The region lord said with a trembling body. Let's go rescue them first. The Holy Lord said after a moment of silence. The group of celestial emperors nodded slightly. In the next few days, Lioli region mobilized all the celestial emperors and began to move the people of the planets over rapidly. However, as time passed, all the people of Lioli region received the news that the 2 devil's dens had attacked. When everyone received the news, their faces were as white as sheets. The demons from the 2 devil's dens have actually attacked us. They actually attacked us. It's over, it's over. The flying speed of the devil's dens is much faster than our Lioli region. More than half of our people have yet to fly over. If they catch up, gosh, what should we do next? What can we do? The people of Lioli region panicked, especially the people of Lioli region who were still rushing towards the sacred region in the void. Their faces were extremely pale. They looked at the void behind them in fear, fearing that the terrifying devil's den would chase after them. Once they caught up, they would be unable to resist and would only become food for the demons. They were competing with the Grim Reaper. Time passed day by day. On the 10th day, the group of celestial emperors in Lioli region received another piece of bad news. The Devil's Den had arrived at the second alert planet. A large number of the people of Lioli region had just left the second alert planet for 10 days. According to the speed of the Devil's Den, they would only need 5 days to catch up with a large number of people in Lioli region. When they received the news, the region lord and the group of celestial emperors turned pale instantly. They clenched their fists and stood quietly on the battlefront, waiting helplessly. They were at a dead end. Brr, brr, brr. Just as the experts of Lioli region and the sacred region looked pale and hopeless, an excited roar came from a spatial rift in the mechanic imperial region. A strong pressure spread out in all directions. Chapter 2940. Sweeping across the Lioli region 3-inch. Ha, I've broken through. I've finally broken through. An excited roar resounded. Within the secret base of the Masters of Creator, the 35,000-meter-tall devouring dragon let out an excited roar. Its huge body exuded a savage and bloodthirsty aura. That terrifying dragon head, 18 razor-sharp claws, and huge body were like a monster from the depths of the universe. Congratulations, leader. Congratulations, leader. Below, the million devouring dragons roared loudly. TSK, 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 the combat power of a fourth-order god emperor. Such a terrifying aura. I feel that Roving Crab's gaze can make me tremble. Mo Sha said enviously as he looked at Roving Crab, who was exuding boundless majesty. You're 3 levels lower than Roving Crab. You have no way of resisting him. Tianjin said to Mo Sha with a smile. Dragon King. At this moment, the excited Roving Crab transformed into his human form. He came to Wang Xian's side and greeted him respectfully. Very good, very good. Avoid Fourth Order God Emperor should be an invincible existence in this resplendent starry sky. Wang Xian said with a smile. Hehe, this is all thanks to the Dragon King and the brothers from the Dragon Palace for giving all the resources in the Mechanic Emperor domain to us, the Devouring Dragons. After we get out, we'll immediately help the brothers sweep through the demon region and get all the resources for them. Roving Crab said with a smile. Seems like you still have some conscience. Orochi and the rest said with satisfaction. Let's go. We've been here for a long time. It's time for us to get out. Wang Xian looked around. All the machines in the base had been devoured by the devouring dragons. Nothing was left. Yes, Dragon King. Everyone nodded their heads happily and immediately flew out. They tore open a spatial crack and returned to the void. Let's go to the Lioli region. It should be settled there. Wang Xian said as he looked around. But just as he finished speaking, he felt the communication stone plate in his mother nest vibrating violently. He raised his eyebrows slightly. The secret base built by the Masters of Creator had isolated all kinds of signals with a special material. Now that he was out, all kinds of information were displayed. Wang Xian took out the communication stone plate and realized that many people had sent him messages. Zhan Fa Wudi, Hong Fengyan, Shang Water God Emperor, Region Master. That brat, Invincible Battle, also sent me a lot of messages. At this moment, Tianjin also exclaimed in surprise. This is? When Wang Xian opened the messages, he was slightly taken aback. Invincible sent him over 100 messages. The last message was, Boss Wang, I'm already crying. Please reply me. If you don't come back soon, you won't be able to see me anymore. I'm going to die. The Domain Master had sent him dozens of messages, and so had Hong Fengyan. Looking at the messages, his face was filled with astonishment. The Devil Territory actually conquered the entire Colored Glaze region. 4 great devil dens, Qi, Mei, Wang and Liang, the 4 Third Order God Emperor realm leaders? Wang Xian said with a surprised look. At the side, Prime Minister Turtle and the others were also shocked. There's actually such a powerful existence in Qimei region? They were slightly surprised, but soon Yamada Devilish and the rest were excited. Great. The stronger the evil creatures in Qimei region, the more resources they could get. Dragon King, the Colored Glaze region is in grave danger. Tianjin said with a slight frown. Wang Xian nodded. I'll contact Invincible Battle and ask him about the exact situation. As he spoke, he immediately contacted Invincible Battle. At this moment, at the battlefront of the sacred region, Invincible Battle and his senior sister stood there quietly, waiting for all kinds of news. All of a sudden, Invincible Warrior jumped up in excitement. At the side, the soldiers and experts from Colored Glaze region, who were shrouded in sorrow and fear, jumped up excitedly when they saw Invincible Battle. Anger was written all over their faces as they glared at him. Second senior sister also looked at him with astonishment. I finally contacted Boss Wang. I finally contacted him. Sob, sob, sob. At this moment, Invincible Battle roared excitedly. Second senior sister, who was at the side, was shocked. Subsequently, her face was filled with excitement. Boss Wang, you finally replied. Do you know that Invincible Battle misses you so much? I really miss you. Invincible Battle looked at Wang Xian on the screen of the communication stone plate and was so emotional that he almost cried. Scram, stop being disgusting. Hurry up and tell me what's the situation in Colored Glaze region. When Wang Xian heard Invincible Battle, he immediately replied with a disgusted expression. Boss Wang, we're in big trouble. The entire Colored Glaze region has been occupied by the evil creatures. We've already escaped to the sacred region. But behind us there are 2 devil's lairs chasing after us. There are still many people from Colored Glaze region who haven't escaped here. The situation is very dangerous now. Boss Wang, what's the situation on your side? We thought you guys were ambushed by the Mechanic Emperor domain. Help Boss Wang. Colored Glaze region can't hold on any longer. They're no match for the evil creatures from the Chimera region. Now there are 2 Third Order God Emperors in the 2 Devil's Lairs. I estimate that there are about 50 other God Emperors. If they come here, we're finished. The Sacred Region and Colored Glaze region are preparing to fight to the death here. We can't let the evil creatures occupy the Sacred Region anymore. Invincible said with an excited look on his face. Is the situation so critical now? When Wang Xian heard him, he raised his eyebrows slightly and asked, Sergeant Boss Wang, hurry up and come over. If you're late, you'll have to collect my corpse. Invincible Battle said loudly. Alright, ask your master for all the information about the Chimera region and send it over. I'll send members of the Dragon Palace over immediately. Wang Xian said after pondering for a while. Alright, Boss Wang, alright. Invincible Battle nodded immediately. Haha, Boss Wang said he'll send experts from the Dragon Palace over immediately. Let's go inform Master and the rest. Seeing that the video call ended, Invincible Battle immediately flew towards the center. Second senior sister also followed behind with a face full of excitement. Around them, the experts and soldiers from the Colored Glaze region were excited. Hope had come. With the arrival of the Dragon Palace, they should have no problem withstanding the attacks from the two devils' lairs. Master, Boss Wang has sent a video call. We've contacted Boss Wang. The Dragon Palace will send members over immediately. In the center of the battlefield, a group of God Emperors sat quietly. Invincible Battle's voice made all of them stand up immediately. Their eyes were filled with hope. Chapter 2941. The tremors that swept through Lioli region with ease. 4-inch Woody, are the Dragon King and the others coming? You've contacted the Dragon King? They're all right? Can you make it in time? In the middle of the battlefront, 7 to 8 Emperor gods stared at unrivaled Zhan Fa with fervent gazes as they asked agitatedly. Yes, Boss Wang just sent me a video call. I have reported the situation here to Boss Wang. He said he will send someone over now. Invincible looked at the group of God Emperors staring at him and immediately grinned. Is everything alright with the Dragon King and the others? The Domain Master instantly teleported to the side of Invincible Fighter and asked with some excitement. Hee Territory Lord, what could possibly happen? I told you that with the strength of the Dragon Palace, it would be a piece of cake for them to destroy the Mechanic Imperial Domain. When the experts of the Dragon Palace arrive, wouldn't it be a piece of cake to destroy that evil? Invincible lifted his head slightly and said with a smile. Good. It's good that the Dragon Palace is fine. It's good that the Dragon King and the others are fine. If the Dragon King and the others can rush over now, there might still be a chance. The Domain Lord said excitedly. Boss. Just as the Domain Master was speaking, the communication stone plate on his body vibrated. When he saw that it was a message from the Dragon King, his face was filled with excitement. Dragon King said that the people from Dragon Palace will be here soon. Seeing this message, he clenched his fists and immediately explained everything about the current situation. He also reported the current situation and the situation of the demons in the Chi-Mei region in full detail. After sending it, he anxiously waited for the Dragon King's reply. Territorial Lord, don't be anxious. As long as the Dragon King and the experts from the Dragon Palace are here, it won't be a problem to resist the two devils' lairs. The first Supreme Elder walked over and said to the Territorial Lord. With the strength of the Dragon Palace and our strength, it won't be a problem to resist the two devils' dens. But I don't know if we can get here in time. The Domain Lord's expression changed. The Dragon Palace has a teleportation formation that leads directly to us. If the Dragon King and the others can rush over immediately, it shouldn't be a problem. The Sacred Sovereign heaved a sigh of relief as he spoke. Alright, I hope I can make it in time. The Region Lord nodded nervously. This was related to the life and death of trillions of people in the Lioli region. The situation over at the Colored Glaze region is extremely critical. Prime Minister Turtle, bring 6 Third Order God Emperor Realm members of the Devouring Dragon clan and return to the Dragon Palace with Roving Heavens and the rest. After that, hurry over to the Holy Region and rendezvous with the others from the Colored Glaze region. I'll bring the Sky Array Roving Crab and the other Devouring Dragons to the Colored Glaze territory and clean up the demons there. Then I'll go to the Enchantment territory to take a look. When Wang Xian saw the message from the Territorial Lord, he immediately ordered Prime Minister Turtle and the rest. It's Dragon King. Prime Minister Turtle and the rest nodded their heads. They looked at Roving Heavens and the other God Emperors and gestured to them. Go. Roving Crab, kill more demons for us. Be careful, Dragon King. As the leaders of the Dragon Palace spoke, their figures slowly disappeared and returned to the Dragon Palace. The Berserk Dragon, the Arrow Dragon, and the Imperial Dragon followed them back to the Dragon Palace. In the void, there were only Wang Xian's celestial formation, Roving Crab, and his million subordinates. After absorbing the machines in this secret base, the weakest Devouring Dragon had already reached the 8th level of the Undying God King realm. This was definitely a terrifying existence. The 8th level of the God King realm was considered an expert in the entire resplendent starry sky. If they joined a force, they could easily obtain a few hundred or even more habitable planets. They were definitely at the level of an overlord. However, among the million devouring dragons, they were indeed the weakest. There were 155 First Order God Emperor realm experts. There were more than 5,000 Pinnacle God King realm experts. What did that mean? The Imperial Court had hundreds of millions of years of history. Yet, there were only 50 to 70 Pinnacle God King realm experts. Even the witches only had this number. The strongest Pinnacle God King realm expert in the Colored Glaze territory had more than 200? Impossible. And there were more than 5,000 devouring dragons. The reason why the devouring dragons could increase by 5,000 was related to the uniqueness of the Mechanic Emperor domain. The robots in the Mechanic Emperor domain did not consume much energy unless it was a war. Secondly, for the robots to possess the destructive power of a Pinnacle God King realm expert, the amount of resources required was terrifying. This was because they could not cultivate like humans. The resources of a Pinnacle God King robot could allow 6 to 7 or even more devouring dragons to reach the Pinnacle God King realm. As for those huge battleships that could destroy a Pinnacle God King realm mechanical planet, they contained even more resources. The robots would not die. They had accumulated their strength for billions of years. If it was the Imperial Star domain, if humans did not die, the Imperial Court would have 5 to 6,000 Pinnacle God King realm experts in billions of years. Moreover, the Mechanic Emperor domain was much larger than the Imperial Star domain. Every place was controlled by the robots. This was the reason why the devouring dragons could grow so quickly. Now that the Colored Glaze territory is occupied by evil beings, let's head over to take a look. After we kill those evil beings, we will head over to the enchantment territory to see what's going on. Wang Xian said to Roving Crab. Yes, Dragon King. Roving Crab, Heavenly Array and the rest nodded. Roving Crab, keep the other devouring dragons into your body. Let's fly over. Yes, Dragon King. Roar roar. Roving Crab transformed into a devouring dragon and roared. All the surrounding devouring dragons surged into his body. Let's go. Wang Xian leaped onto Roving Crab's head. Heavenly Array followed suit. Roving Crab roared and flew towards the Colored Glaze territory. His current speed was about the same as Wang Xian's. Just as Wang Xian and the rest were flying towards the Colored Glaze territory, Prime Minister Turtle and the rest had already returned to the Dragon Palace. Devouring dragons, the 6 of you. The rest of the Emperor gods can follow along too. We'll head straight for the sacred region. The situation is a little urgent. Prime Minister Turtle instructed them immediately. This time, the 6 devouring dragons were enough to reinforce the Colored Glaze territory. 6 Third Order God Emperors could easily wipe out the 2 devil lairs. Under the siege of the 6 devouring dragons, the 2 so-called leaders of the evil spirits, demons and monsters could forget about escaping. As for the rest of the Dragon Palace Emperor gods, it didn't matter if they went or not. Yes. The group of Emperor gods nodded. The 8-limbed devilish fiends and a few wind divine dragons joined in the fun. Roving Heavens and the rest didn't go. The 10 members of the Dragon Palace were sent to the center of the sacred region through the teleportation array. From the center of the sacred region to the border, they had to go through dozens of teleportation arrays. During this period they would need 4 to 5 hours. 4 to 5 hours was considered very fast. They're here. The experts of the Dragon Palace are here. More than 4 hours later, the Holy Lord received the news. He stood up excitedly and shouted at the Territorial Lord and the rest. Chapter 2942, The Tremors That Swept Through Lioli Region with Ease. 5-inch The Dragon King and the others are here. That's great. We should be able to make it. Okay, let's go and welcome them. Upon receiving the news of the Dragon King's arrival, the Domain Master, Holy Master, and the other God Emperors were overjoyed as they immediately stood up and said, they should be here by now. As Sacred Leader spoke, he immediately flew towards a planet behind him. They were currently on the battlefront in the void, and there were no teleportation arrays here. He's here. When they were halfway there, they immediately saw 10 figures flying towards them from the void ahead. But soon the Sacred Leader and the Region Lords frowned slightly. The Dragon King was not among the 10 figures that flew over. The Dragon King didn't come? This caused their expressions to change slightly, and they cursed inwardly. Could it be that the Dragon King knew that the evil power of the Chi-Mei region was too strong, so he only sent a few members of the Dragon Palace as a warning? Thinking of this, their hearts sank. Domain Master, Sacred Master. Prime Minister Turtle led the 6 devouring dragons and the Yaki devil fiend when they saw the Domain Lord and Holy Lord flying over. Prime Minister Turtle, where is your Dragon King? The territorial lord's gaze swept across Prime Minister Turtle and the rest. She pursed her lips and asked immediately. The Dragon King should still be in the Mechanic Emperor domain. It's enough that the Dragon King sent us over. Prime Minister Turtle looked at them and smiled. Enough? Hearing Prime Minister Turtle's words, the Sacred Lord and Region Lords were slightly taken aback. Our strength is more than enough to exterminate these demons. Brother Devourer, show us your strength. Orochi patted one of the devouring dragons beside him when he saw their shocked expressions. We're more than enough to deal with these demons. The devouring dragon said indifferently. A surge of Third Order God Emperor Realm aura rushed towards the Domain Masters, Holy Masters and the others. A terrifying aura swept out, causing the injured Domain Master and the Second Order Void God Emperor Sacred Master to turn pale. They felt their breathing stagnating. The devouring dragon was a little dissatisfied with the Domain Master and the Holy Master's disdain, so it didn't have any scruples. Gulp. This is... A look of excitement appeared in the Domain Lord's eyes. Sorry we failed to recognize you. We didn't expect the Dragon Palace to have such an expert. He cupped his hands, feeling a little excited and a little shocked. Third Order God Emperor Realm. It seems like the Dragon Palace's Dragon King isn't the only one who has reached this realm. Our Dragon King said that the situation in the Lioli domain is critical and asked us to help you resolve it. Let's go. Prime Minister Turtle chuckled and said. The current strength of the Dragon Palace was not something that the Lioli region and the Sanctuary could compare with. It didn't matter if he was a little more arrogant. Alright, thank you Dragon King. Thank you Dragon Palace for lending a helping hand. Prime Minister Turtle, we may need to rush forward immediately. There are still a large number of people in the Lioli region who are on the run. Once the Devil's Den behind us catches up, the consequences will be unimaginable. The Domain Lord hurriedly said. Alright then, let's go there immediately. Prime Minister Turtle nodded. Let's go. The Domain Lord and the Supreme Elder did not dare to delay and immediately flew forward. The experts of Dragon Palace are here to support us. Everyone don't worry. We will go and support the people in the rear immediately. When the Domain Lord and the others flew above the battlefront, they glanced at the worried soldiers, disciples and citizens and immediately spoke. His voice resounded through the entire sky. What? Everyone who was shrouded in fear suddenly heard the Region Master's words, and their faces were filled with astonishment. Then their faces were filled with surprise. The experts of Dragon Palace are here to support us? The Dragon Palace has returned from conquering the Mechanic Emperor domain? Did they succeed? They should have succeeded. If not, how could they still come to help us? Great, this is great. If the Dragon Palace has the strength to conquer the Mechanic Emperor domain, then as long as they come to help us, we can survive this crisis. Now, our Domain Lord and the experts of Dragon Palace are heading forward to rescue the people in the Lioli region. I hope they succeed. Haha, with the experts of Dragon Palace taking action, there's no need to ask. A bunch of demons will be killed in seconds. Countless people were discussing. At this time, an extremely arrogant voice sounded. The voice was naturally invincible combat technique. Some of the surrounding soldiers and experts laughed when they heard his words. They did not expect the Dragon Palace to be able to destroy the demons from the Devil's Denver. They only hoped that the Dragon Palace could resist the invasion of the demons and rescue the rest of them. As for the rest, they did not dare to think about it. The power of the demons this time made their hearts tremble. Fortunately, the Dragon Palace is willing to support us. The Dragon Palace has done their best to come at this time. Everyone in the Lioli region was grateful. Even their dissatisfaction with invincible combat technique had lessened. Domain Lord, I have contacted an Emperor God in the Void. According to his teleportation location, we can arrive in a day. The Devil's Den should not be able to catch up with them. In the Void, the Supreme First Elder held the communication stone plate and said, Alright, we can make it in time. We will have to trouble this brother from the Dragon Palace later. The Domain Lord nodded and said to the Devouring Dragon, We will definitely carry out the Dragon King's orders. The Devouring Dragon nodded. The Domain Lord and the others smiled. They glanced at the middle-aged men beside the Devouring Dragon with some doubts in their eyes. Why are their auras so similar? However, they did not ask much at the beginning because they were charging at them with their auras. The group of people quickly flew through the void. The experts from the Dragon Palace have come to support us. The Domain Lord and the others are rushing towards us. Don't worry everyone. The Domain Lord and the experts from the Dragon Palace will arrive in a day. At the moment, tens of thousands of life-bearing planets and divine nations were flying in the void in front of them. Many people in the Lioli region were pale and many of them were praying together. At this time, the voice of an emperor god was heard. Everyone was stunned for a moment, but soon they were excited and hopeful. The Domain Lord said that the experts from the Dragon Palace are coming. We can get through this crisis. If you are bored, let's chat on the artificial intelligence. Don't be too nervous. The group of god emperors also revealed smiles on their faces as they spoke. Thank you, Dragon Palace. Thank you, Dragon King. Many people in the Lioli region said gratefully and felt relieved. Time passed by slowly. A day flew by in the void. Domain Lord, I see them. I see them. A day later, the Domain Lord, the Holy Lord, and the members of the Dragon Palace met with the fleeing army of the Lioli region. Seeing the vast number of people, they smiled and heaved a sigh of relief. The Domain Lord is here. The experts from the Dragon Palace are here too. At this time, an emperor god at the front also saw them and shouted excitedly. Chapter 2943. The Domain Lord and the experts from Dragon Palace are here. That's great, that's great. Haha, with them here, we don't have to be so worried anymore. The voice of the emperor god at the front caused all the people in the Lioli region to be extremely excited. They all cheered and shouted loudly. The group of emperor gods couldn't help but roar excitedly as they sped up to welcome them. Domain Lord. Sacred Lord. More than 20 emperor gods flew over and shouted with smiles. They looked at Prime Minister Turtle and the rest, slightly surprised. Thank you for your hard work. Dragon Palace has sent experts over to support us. Let's head back to the Holy Region first. The Domain Lord said to the group of emperor gods with a smile. Yes, Domain Lord. The group of emperor gods nodded and bowed to the members of Dragon Palace. Thank you, everyone, for coming to support us. Colored Glaze Region is grateful. No problem. Prime Minister Turtle waved his hand. Oh no, oh no. At this moment, there was a sudden scream from behind. Oh no, the Devil's Den is catching up, catching up. More screams were heard, shocking the Domain Lord and the rest who were floating in the void. What? That's fast. Didn't they say they would need at least 2 to 3 days to catch up? Oh no. The group of emperor gods was shocked as they looked back anxiously. The Domain Lord and the rest narrowed their eyes. Let's go, let's head over now. The Domain Lord's expression changed as he continued flying forward. Brother from Dragon Palace, there are 2 leaders in those 2 devil's dens. I wonder which 2 of the 4 leaders are they. I'm only a First Order God Emperor now. I might have to trouble you later. I have the treasure of our colored glaze region, the Glaze Rainbow Stone. It can greatly enhance your attack power and recovery. The Domain Lord flew forward quickly, taking out the treasure of colored glaze region, the Glaze Rainbow Stone, and handed it to the Devouring Dragon. No need. The Devouring Dragon shook its head and stared in front of it. Jejia, what a great treasure. You can take this treasure as a reward from our Dragon Palace. Yamada no Orochi looked over and said with glowing eyes. The Dragon Palace has helped us so much. We can even give it to the Dragon Palace now. The Domain Lord said. Kiki. Yamada no Demon Shah smiled. Devil's Den, what a terrifying Devil's Den. How can they be so fast? Didn't they say that it would take them a few days to catch up? Exclamations of astonishment could be heard from below. The Domain Lord and the other God Emperors quickly arrived at the back of the colored glaze region's crowd, which was also in front of the Devil's Den hundreds of millions of kilometers away from them. There were 2 incomparably gigantic demon dens that were like man-devouring hells. Countless pairs of blood-red eyes could be seen within the demon dens, exuding a greedy and bloodthirsty expression. A terrifying aura rushed towards them. Below them, all the people of the Lioli region looked at the gigantic demon's den in horror. In the past, Lioli region had to go all out to deal with a single devil's denver. The colored glaze region was no match for these 2 demon dens. Now that the 2 great demon dens were rushing over, their faces turned incomparably pale when they felt the terrifying aura. If they didn't know that the territorial master and the experts from Dragon Palace were here, they would have given up all hope. Fortunately, the experts from Dragon Palace are here. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. At this moment, looking at the demon's den that was so close at hand, the Domain Lord and the others were glad. This is the demon's den? It looks very familiar. Yamada no Demon Shah and the others looked at the demon's den in front of them and said. Other than being slightly bigger than the demon's den on Earth, Everything else is similar. Prime Minister Turtle nodded his head as well. At this moment, the demon's den in front of them suddenly stopped, and dense roars could be heard from within. However, in the next moment, the entire demon's den seemed to have gone crazy, and the roars began to sound incessantly. One after another, demons flew out of the demon's den, their eyes filled with excitement and madness. 1, 2, 3, soon countless demons flew out of the void in front of them. However, the group of demons didn't attack immediately. Instead, they stared at them with bloodthirst and madness, floating in the void and swaying their bodies. It was as if they were waiting for an order. At this moment, an even more majestic roar came from within. Hearing this roar, everyone's heart tightened, and they felt a sense of panic. The Domain Lord and the other God Emperors stared at the two leaders that were about to come out of the demon's den. A pitch-black, 10-meter-long creature with a snake's head and a human-like body flew out of the demon's den on the left. Its body was extremely small among the demons, but its terrifying aura made more than 20 God Emperor-level demons around it revere it. One of the four leaders of the evil spirits, evil spirits, evil spirits, evil spirits. In the demon's den on the right, a blood-red demon with two huge fangs and a pair of blood wings stared at them greedily with its 4 feet on the ground, stepping on the void. It had a long black tongue that was filled with barbs, and droplets of saliva were dripping from it. One of the four leaders of the evil spirits, evil spirits, evil spirits. Around it, there were also more than 20 God Emperor-level demons. Hey hey hey. The demon let out a strange sharp cry, and its triangular eyes stared ahead, filled with excitement. The evil spirits let out a roar and also stared at them. Around it, roars echoed in response. 52 God Emperors, it's going to be a tough battle. We have to stop all the demons. Also, order all the people to flee towards the holy region. The Domain Lord looked at the two leaders and the group of God Emperors and ordered in a low voice. Yes, Domain Lord. The group of God Emperors nodded their heads. Lord God Emperor, help us block the army of demons. Let's speed up and escape later. The experts below knew what to do even without the Glaze region God Emperor's orders. They would only be a burden if they stayed here. Leaving as soon as possible was the best choice. Brothers from the Dragon Palace, the one on the left is called Mei, and the one on the right is called Ho. Mei has a powerful concealment ability, and among the Third Order God Emperors. Leave it to our devouring dragons. The Domain Lord introduced to Prime Minister Turtle and the rest. However, before he could finish his sentence, the 6 devouring dragons charged over. The Domain Lord's expression changed slightly. Chapter 2944, Everyone from Dragon Palace? This? What are they doing? When the devouring dragon and the other 5 rushed out, the God Emperors and territorial lords of Lioli region were slightly shocked and shouted. Prime Minister Turtle, tell them not to be rash. The demons are much stronger than us. Let's. The territorial lord's expression changed drastically as he hurriedly said to Prime Minister Turtle. Even though he had already sensed that the Dragon Palace member was a Third Order God Emperor, there were 2 demon leaders and more than 50 God Emperor demons in front of them. As long as they could hold off the demons, it would be fine. It was too dangerous for them to rush over recklessly. However, before he could finish his sentence, 6 incomparably terrifying roars rang out. Hiss, this is? The territorial lord quickly looked forward and took a deep breath. His face was filled with shock. This. The surrounding God Emperors also revealed a look of shock on their faces. The 6 roars came from the 6 members of the Dragon Palace who had rushed out. However, at this moment they had undergone a huge change. The 6 of them had transformed into hideous monsters that were 30,000 meters in size. It was 30,000 meters long, had 18 terrifyingly sharp claws, a hideous and terrifying head, and a long tail like that of a divine dragon. A savage, bloodthirsty, and violent aura exuded from their bodies. The 6 members of the Dragon Palace charged towards the army of demons and demons ahead of them. They could immediately confirm from the aura of the 6 members of Dragon Palace. That was the aura of a Third Order God Emperor. That was the aura of a Third Order God Emperor. All 6 members of the Dragon Palace were Third Order God Emperor realm existences. This shocked them to the core. 6 Third Order God Emperors. TSK, the 6 of you, don't let any of these demons escape. Kill them all. Baki stood at the back, feeling the aura of the devouring dragon and roared enviously. Roar roar. The devouring dragon in the middle let out a low roar and looked at the other 5 brothers. An incomparably violent voice came from their mouths once again. Their roars completely covered the roars of all the demons in front of them. At this moment, the demons from the two devils' dens seemed to have been cast with the body-freezing spell. They stared blankly at the 6 devouring dragons that were attacking them. They could feel the berserk, bloodthirsty, and savage aura emanating from it. It was as if they were completely insignificant in comparison to it. Hey. The two leaders, Yao Xiemei and Yao Xiawang, felt the aura of the devouring dragon and the rest, and let out a slightly panicked roar. Hey. However, when they saw the 6 devouring dragons charging towards them, they could only give the order to attack. The innumerable demonic beasts in the 2 great devil caves and over 50 god emperors suppressed the fear in their hearts as they charged towards the 6 devouring dragons. You're courting death. Don't leave a single one alive. One of the devouring dragons let out a low growl. It looked at the demons that were attacking them with disdain and raised its head. Boom. Boom. A black ball condensed in their mouths and shot towards the demons in front of them. Bam. When the sphere flew out, the black sphere immediately exploded. The entire sphere actually split into small insects with earthy yellow bodies and pitch-black wings. Those insect race beings had razor-sharp teeth as they swarmed towards the demon army with all their might. GG. The bugs let out sharp cries. Roar. Countless demons let out bloodthirsty roars as they charged towards the bugs. Roar. But soon tragic cries could be heard. Boom. At this moment, the 6 devouring dragons had already charged in front of the countless demons. Their bodies trembled. Black soil appeared out of thin air and shrouded the void within a radius of 1 billion kilometers. This part of the world was completely shrouded. Within this radius of 1 billion kilometers, illusory bugs filled the air. Mystic ability space. The moment the 6 devouring dragons charged, they used the mystic ability space. The strongest attack. When the mystic ability space shrouded the void, the 6 devouring dragons charged into the group of demons. Their gigantic bodies and terrifying claws waved about. Within a radius of 100 million kilometers around them, all the demons and evils were instantly struck by terrifying attacks. Roar. One by one, the demons were unable to put up any resistance under their attacks. The dozen celestial emperors at the front were specially taken care of by one of the devouring dragons. Their sharp claws swept across and sliced the celestial emperors in half. Destructive energy rushed into their bodies. Roar. Tragic cries could be heard and it sounded exceptionally tragic. GG. All the attacks seemed to have just begun. When the mystic ability space was formed, the earth and darkness elemental laws condensed into bug race beings and swarmed towards the demons. In an instant, the number of bug race beings condensed by the earth and darkness elemental laws seemed to be more than the number of demons. The difference in numbers seemed to have been reversed immediately. Roar. Tragic cries could be heard throughout the void. Hey. Roar. When the two leaders, Yao Xiemei and Yao Xiawang, saw this scene, they revealed a look of fear. Yao Xiemei waved her claws and formed dark scars that attacked one of the devouring dragons. Yao Xiawang lifted her head and revealed 2 huge fangs that shone with golden radiance. She condensed her own shadow using the metal element and attacked another devouring dragon. Roar. The 2 devouring dragons that were attacked glared at them and slashed their sharp claws at them. Boom. Sounds of collision could be heard. Without any hesitation, they locked onto the 2 leaders, Yao Xiemei and Yao Xiawang, and charged over. Roar. At the side, another 2 devouring dragons turned to look at the 2 leaders. Their eyes were filled with malevolence and violence as they charged over. Let's kill these beasts first before helping them to eliminate the 2 leaders. The remaining 2 devouring dragons roared. Their eyes swept across the billions of demons and were filled with disdain. Roar. They charged towards the demon god thearchs one after another. That terrifying aura and the suppression of strength caused the demon god thearchs to shiver in fear. Their eyes were filled with fear. The error-free chapters of the Invincible Divine Dragon Cultivation System will continue to be updated on Qingdou. There will be no advertisements on the website. Please bookmark and recommend Qingdou. Those who like the Invincible Divine Dragon Cultivation System, please bookmark. Invincible Divine Dragon Cultivation System, Qingdou's updates are the fastest. Chapter 2945, Hiss, Suppression, Complete Suppression. In just a few seconds, more than a dozen god emperors in Wuxia have been killed. Are those the experts of the Dragon Palace? How can they be so strong? Our domain lord and the others haven't even made a move, yet the experts of the Dragon Palace have completely suppressed the two devil dens. Is this the power of Dragon Palace? How can it be so terrifying? Shocking, shocking, inconceivable. All the citizens of the Lioli region and the emperor gods in the sky stared ahead with their eyes wide open. Even a god emperor had to swallow a mouthful of saliva. The strength of the experts of Dragon Palace shocked them. There was no need for them to do anything in this war. The people below were even more incredulous. They knew that experts from the Dragon Palace were here to help them overcome this crisis. But when the Devil's Den rushed over, they still felt a little fearful. In their opinion, the Dragon Palace was strong, but how strong could it be? Slightly stronger than their Lioli? However, when facing the Devil's Den and the demons of the Qianmei region, they still had to treat them seriously. But now, the 6 members of the Dragon Palace had directly rushed over and suppressed the 2 Devil's Dens. In fact, more than 10 Wuxia god emperors were instantly killed. What kind of strength was this? The 6 experts of Dragon Palace charged forward. There was no need for their domain master to take action. These 2 great devil lairs that could destroy their Lioli devil lairs were suppressed by the 6 members of the Dragon Palace just like that. Looking at the battle ahead, it was likely that the demons in these 2 demon dens would be annihilated soon. This Dragon Palace is too strong. Ah, that's great, that's great. We don't have to escape at all. We can just stay here and watch Monster Xia get killed. This is crazy, the Dragon Palace's strength is simply heaven-defying. Ah. Are those 6 Dragon Palace experts all Third Order God Emperor Realm experts? Everyone shouted excitedly. There were also experts from the Lioli region shouting excitedly at the people in the distance. The 6 experts of the Dragon Palace have easily suppressed the 2 Devil's Lairs. The 2 Devil's Lairs are about to be destroyed by the Dragon Palace. The Dragon Palace is invincible. We don't have to run anymore. Excited, excited. Not long ago they were still worried about their own lives, worried that the demon lair would come to kill them. Now the experts of the Dragon Palace had been dispatched to suppress the 2 Devil's Dens and rescue all of them. They felt like they had just survived a disaster. Seething cheering. The people who were further away looked over excitedly even though they couldn't see what was happening. Is this the strength of Dragon Palace? The Domain Lord, Sacred Lord, and the others murmured as they looked at the scene before them in shock. 6 Third Order God Emperor Realm existences, even if they were to face the 4 Devil Dens, Qi, Mei Wang and Liang, they could completely suppress them. If the Lioli region had the strength of the Dragon Palace, it wouldn't have been conquered and it wouldn't have to flee. Roar, 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 this is too easy. 1 hit for each of these beasts. At this moment, the voice of a devouring dragon came from the battlefield ahead. 4 devouring dragons besieged the Monster Evil Mei leader and the Monster Evil puppet leader, while the other 2 devouring dragons wreaked havoc in the Monster Evil army. They rushed to the front of the Demon Evil monarchs. Under the terrifying claw attacks, the Demon Evil monarchs were completely defenseless, killing a demon god emperor with a single claw. In a short period of time, more than half of the god emperors were killed. The gap was too huge. Even a Second Order God Emperor Realm Demon God Emperor could not last more than 30 seconds against their attacks. Even if the devouring dragons were not the strongest among the dragon breeds in the Dragon Palace, their combat power was still terrifying. They were a powerful race formed from the fusion of the insect race and the divine dragon race. They inherited the rapid reproduction of the insect race and the powerful attacks of the divine dragon race. They also inherited the attacks of the insect race and the divine dragon race. One after another, the Demon Evil monarchs were slaughtered by them. As for the remaining Demon Evil monarchs, they died in large numbers just from the shock of their aura. Those Demon Evil monarchs below the God Emperor realm did not dare to get close to them. Some of the weaker Demon Evil monarchs were lying in the void, trembling in fear. The devouring dragons unleashing their full strength struck fear into the hearts of the Demon Evil monarchs. The 2 Demon Evil monarchs that were besieged by the devouring dragons cried out in fear. Faced with the siege of the devouring dragons, they were completely suppressed. The Monster Evil Mei's concealment ability was completely useless in front of the 2 devouring dragons. Their attacks could not break through the devouring dragons' defenses, and their speed was not as fast as the devouring dragons. In a 1 versus 2 situation, the 2 Demon Evil monarchs could only take a beating. They roared in fear and retreated to the back of the demon's lair. The 2 Demon Evil monarchs were scared. Celestial Emperor Wuxia dealt one blow after another. The 2 leaders couldn't even retaliate. The Dragon Palace easily swept them away. Seeing the Demon Evil monarchs being slaughtered so easily, The god emperors from the Lioli region and the sacred region were in a daze. The Dragon Palace easily swept away the demon evil monarchs that attacked the first big region, the Lioli region. The difference was too huge. The Dragon Palace was too strong. Especially when they heard the words of the Dragon Palace experts. This bunch of beasts, one strike for one. That was the demon evil monarchs. The Dragon Palace's strength is really terrifying. Many thanks to the Dragon Palace for eliminating these demon evil monarchs. The region lord looked ahead and sighed. He bowed to Prime Minister Turtle and the rest to show his respect. Many thanks to the Dragon Palace. At this moment, the rest of the god emperors from the Lioli region also bowed and thanked them respectfully. Now, they realized that the Lioli region was not on the same level as the Dragon Palace. Moreover, seeing how strong the Dragon Palace was, they had an idea. If the Dragon Palace was willing to help them take back the Lioli region, they were willing to submit to the Dragon Palace and respect the Dragon King. Hehe, you're welcome. It's just a small matter. Prime Minister Turtle waved his hand indifferently and said nonchalantly, "Yeah, all right, you just have to pass the corpses of the demon evil monarchs to us. Our Dragon Palace needs these resources." Amosha said, Of course. The Domain Lord immediately said, putting himself in a very humble position. At the side, the Holy Lord took a deep breath. Looking at the almost invincible Dragon Palace, his mind raced. Perhaps the resplendent starry sky would give birth to a king soon. Dragon Palace. Dragon King. The two demon evil monarchs are trying to escape. At this time, one of the god emperors exclaimed. Wounds appeared on the two-third order god emperor realm demon evil monarchs' bodies as they flew towards the devil cave in fear. Trying to escape? I'll devour your entire devil cave. When the four devouring dragons saw them fleeing towards the devil cave, a cold glint flashed in their eyes as they chased after them. I'll go and help too. Quickly kill those two demon evil monarchs. I'll leave this place to you. One of the devouring dragons said when he saw them chasing after the demon evil monarchs. Leave this place to me. Roar, die. Chapter 2946. In the void at the border of the Saint region, the devouring dragons chased after demonic creatures. In that incomparably huge devil's den, countless demons and evil beings panicked when they saw their leader escaping into the devil's den. All of them wanted to fly into the devil's den in fear. Some even fled in different directions. But the gap between them and the devouring dragons was too big. The devouring dragons with third-order god emperor realm combat strength were slaughtering the demonic creatures. Under the attacks of the two dragons of devouring, only about 10 of the 50 monstrous evil god emperors were left. These 10 demonic god emperors couldn't do anything at all. The massacre was still going on. Let's go and collect the corpses. The devil fiend 8 Branches' eyes lit up when they saw the demonic creatures' corpses floating in the air. They flew over immediately. At this time, angry and miserable roars came from the huge devil cave. Judging from the roars, it was obvious that they came from the two leaders. The devil cave can increase the demonic creature's combat strength. But under the combined attack of the devouring dragons, they can't resist at all. Entering the devil cave is a dead end for them. Prime Minister Turtle said with a smile as he looked at the two deep and terrifying devil's caves. When they were on Earth, they had also entered a devil's den and knew some of its characteristics. The 6 members of the Dragon Palace are so strong. The god emperors around them sighed. Boom. Right at this time, in the void in front of them, one of the devil caves shook violently. On one side of the devil's den, a huge crack slowly appeared. The crack slowly lengthened and a huge hole appeared. The devil cave was destroyed. Haha, the 6 god emperors are too strong, too powerful. Kill. They can't fight back. Those demonic creatures can't fight back at all. Down below, all the citizens of the Lioli region were in an uproar, cheering excitedly. The 2 devil caves were about to be destroyed. They were safe. The Dragon Palace is invincible, the Dragon Palace is invincible. Some of the Lioli region's citizens cheered. At the same time, the news spread to the Saint region's battlefront. When the people of the sacred region from the Lioli region got the news, they were shocked. 6 experts of the Dragon Palace directly destroyed the 2 devils' dens? Isn't the Dragon Palace too powerful? Those are 2 devils' dens. The power of those 2 devils' dens is even stronger than our entire colored glaze region. According to the news from the other side of the void, the 2 great devil dens are completely defenseless. The 6 experts sent by the Dragon Palace all have the combat power of a third-order god emperor. Their combat power is terrifying. Is this the true strength of Dragon Palace? No wonder that invincible warrior said that the Dragon Palace could easily destroy the Mechanic Emperor domain. So it was true. That's great, that's great. If the Dragon Palace is willing, maybe the Dragon Palace can help us take back the Lioli territory and return to our homeland. Countless people roared in agitation, their eyes wide with excitement. Who would have thought that the Dragon Palace would be so powerful? They had thought that they would have to go through a big battle and join forces with the experts of the Dragon Palace to resist the attack of the Devil's Den. However, the Dragon Palace had only sent 6 experts to destroy the 2 Devil's Dens. Such strength was truly terrifying. This was the true strength of the Dragon Palace. The strength of the Dragon Palace filled them with excitement. Roar, 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 the leader of the demonic beasts has been killed. A roar came from the demonic beast's leader's Devil's Den. 3 devouring dragons flew out, and the one in the middle was carrying the corpse of the demonic beast's leader. You have 3 people and they have 2. Go and support them and settle it as soon as possible. The devouring dragon that was killing the demonic beasts outside the Devil's Den said with a smile. I'll go. A devouring dragon moved and flew towards the demonic beast leader's Devil's Den. Jia, brothers, good job. Yamada Devil-Sha and the others flew over and stared at the corpse of the demonic beast's leader under the devouring dragon's claw. This was the corpse of a third-order god emperor. The resources of a corpse could allow them to improve immediately. Killing these demonic beasts is a piece of cake. A devouring dragon transformed into a human and said with a smile. Keep these corpses and bring the 2 Devil's Dens back too. Prime Minister Turtle and the others flew over and said with a smile. Prime Minister Turtle, these Devil's Dens will help us improve greatly. The devouring dragon said with excitement. Devil's Dens were similar to god nations but completely different. They were a unique type of energy that was beneficial to the devouring dragons. You devouring dragons can really eat anything. Yamada Devil-Sha and the others said enviously. Prime Minister Turtle, we're done here too. Very soon, 3 devouring dragons flew out from another Devil's Den, carrying a corpse. Very good. A smile appeared on Prime Minister Turtle's face. There were demonic beasts' nests in the Devil's Den, and these nests had the same effect as god nations. If the Dragon Palace wanted to improve further, it shouldn't be a problem to find nests of 9 attributes in the Devil's Den. Thank you once again, everyone from the Dragon Palace. These are the corpses of the demonic beasts we killed not long ago. The Domain Master and the others thanked Prime Minister Turtle respectfully and handed over a few spatial rings. You're welcome. Prime Minister Turtle nodded and kept the spatial rings. Prime Minister Turtle, where is the Dragon King now? We have a request. The Domain Master looked at Prime Minister Turtle and the others, clenching his fists and asking. Our Dragon King is still in the Mechanic Emperor domain. What's the matter, Domain Master? Prime Minister Turtle looked at the Domain Master and asked. Prime Minister Turtle, we, the Colored Glaze region, have no way to repay the Dragon Palace for helping us so much. For the billions of people in the Colored Glaze region, we would like to ask the Dragon Palace to help us take back the Colored Glaze region. If we can return to the Colored Glaze region, the Colored Glaze region is willing to submit to the Dragon Palace and submit to the Dragon King. As the Domain Lord spoke, he bowed. The Colored Glaze region Emperor gods around him also bowed and cupped their hands. The Colored Glaze region was the #1 region in the resplendent starry sky, but all of that was in the past. The enchantment region had occupied the Colored Glaze region, and all the people were homeless. With the Dragon Palace's strength, they could help them take back the Colored Glaze region. And with the Dragon Palace's strength, they were qualified to make them submit. The Dragon King had only sent 6 experts from the Dragon Palace to destroy the 2 Devil's Dens. How strong was the Dragon King? How terrifying was the Dragon Palace's full strength? With the Dragon King as the king, they had no objections. Chapter 2947. The King of the Resplendent Starry Sky 2-inch submit to the Dragon King and submit to us? Prime Minister Turtle couldn't help but smile when he heard them. As the #1 region, Lioli Domain possessed considerable resources. If Lioli Domain submitted to them, it would be of great benefit to the Dragon Palace. I'll report this to the Dragon King. Our Dragon King won't reject it. Prime Minister Turtle replied with a smile. All right, let's wait for the news from the Dragon Palace. The Domain Lord nodded with a smile on her face. Let your people stay in the void for now. It won't be long before all the evils in Lioli Domain are hunted down. Prime Minister Turtle said to them. Thank you for your help, Dragon Palace. Upon hearing this, the territorial lord and the group of emperor gods expressed their gratitude again with respect. Prime Minister Turtle waved his hand and sent the situation over to Wang Xian. In the void of the Mechanic Emperor domain, Roving Crab was carrying Wang Xian in sky formation at high speed. When he saw the message sent by Prime Minister Turtle, he revealed a smile. If Lioli domain submits to us, doesn't that mean that the Dragon Palace is the king of the entire resplendent starry sky? Wang Xian raised his eyebrows. Sky formation, how long until we reach Lioli domain? He sent a message to Prime Minister Turtle and asked Sky Formation. Dragon King will reach Lioli domain in about 2 hours. Sky Formation looked at the starry sky map and said, "Alright, let's go check out what's going on in Lioli domain and Chimay domain." Wang Xian nodded. He stood on Roving Crab's head and looked at the surrounding void. Roving Crab was fast. 2 hours later, they flew out of the Mechanic Emperor domain and arrived at Lioli domain. Wang Xian scanned the void but didn't notice anything strange. "Let's go to the center of Lioli domain and take a look." Wang Xian instructed Roving Crab before rushing to the center of Lioli domain. After flying for more than 10 hours, Wang Xian noticed a tinge of violent aura in the surrounding void. He squinted his eyes and scanned the surroundings. "Dragon King, the evil should have been here. Let me check." Sky Formation immediately set up a formation and started tracing the situation. Soon an image appeared in front of them. The scene was exactly the same as the surrounding void, with countless demons rampaging through this space. Tianjin's eyes were fixed on Lin Fan. He moved and flew to the side. Very quickly he found a feather in the void. This was the feather that Wuxia had dropped in the void. He used the feather to set up several formations. "Dragon King, I found a devil's den. It should be one of the 4 leaders of the Qi Mei Wang Liang." Tianjin pointed at the screen and said, "Let's hurry over and take a look." Prime Minister Turtle brought the devouring dragon and the rest to annihilate 2 devil lairs. In each devil lair, there are about 20+ monster evil god monarchs and about 10 billion of the other ranks. The comprehensive strength of a devil's den is slightly weaker than that of the Lioli region, but for our Dragon Palace, it's not a small resource. Wang Xian said to the Sky Formation. "It's the Dragon King. Roving Crab, head in that direction." Tianjin nodded and transmitted the information to Aoxia. Roving Xia's figure flashed, and he immediately flew towards the location where the heavenly formation was detecting. "Dragon King, there's more than one ahead." "Yeah, I see it." After a day of flying, 2 incomparably huge devil's dens appeared in his sight. Wang Xian stared at the 2 devil's dens and his eyes shone brightly. Beside the 2 devil's dens was an incomparably huge void continent. There were all sorts of plants and trees on the continent. At this moment, the void continent was in a mess. On it, countless monsters were wreaking havoc looking for food. This continent is too huge, and it's not convenient to bring the Lioli region away. It's being ravaged by the monsters. Wang Xian said plainly as he looked ahead. "Dragon King, there are more than 2 million monsters above the monster evil god king realm, 49 god monarchs, and 2 third-order god monarchs." Tianjin looked at the red dot on the array compass with excitement in his eyes. This was a huge amount of resources. Of the 4 devil's dens, these are the remaining 2. Let's go and annihilate them. Wang Xian revealed a smile, and the unbeginning saint wings appeared on his back as he flew ahead. Tianjin leaped off Roving Crab's back, waved his hands and started setting up the array. "Roar, roar, Dragon King, leave it to me." As Roving Crab spoke, he swayed his huge body and charged ahead. Roar. In the surroundings of the 2 devil's dens, some of the monsters noticed them flying over, and they immediately roared. However, in the next moment, an earth-shattering roar that made all the monsters' hearts palpitate resounded. All the demons in the 2 devil lairs in front of them trembled. In the deepest part of the devil's den, the 2 leaders of the monsters were also trembling slightly, and a hair-raising feeling enveloped them. Yao Shiao and Yao Shilu's eyes narrowed, and they revealed an anxious look. At this time, the roar that contained boundless might resounded once again. The 2 leaders shuddered and hurriedly flew out. Boom. At this time, Roving Crab charged into the army of monsters with boundless might. Countless human-sized insects flew out from his body, condensed from the earth and darkness elemental laws, as though they had a life of their own. They covered the sky and covered the land as they charged towards the monsters. They covered a radius of 500 million kilometers. Within this range, all the demons and evils were instantly dealt a fatal blow. Regardless of whether they were god kings or god emperors, All of them were killed in an instant. What a horrifying attack. The suppression of a strong cultivation level. Roving Crab, who was a fourth-order god emperor, was almost invincible in this space. So strong. Tianjin looked over and he clicked his tongue. With Roving Crab around, we don't need to do anything. Wang Xian smiled faintly. Not only did he not need to do anything, the millions of devouring dragons in Roving Crab's body didn't even need to do anything. He alone could easily destroy the two devils' dens. Chirp chirp chirp. At the exit of the two devils' dens, two slightly anxious roars resounded. Within the two devils' dens, two pairs of blood-red eyes stared outside. When the two leaders saw their subordinates being slaughtered, their bodies trembled. They looked at Roving Crab as though they were looking at a monster that was more terrifying and stronger than them. Roar. Roving Crab sensed the appearance of the two leaders, and a dark yellow energy shot out from its pair of dragon horns. The energy quickly turned into a giant horned insect race member, and it charged towards the two leaders. In the next instant, horrified screams resounded. Easily crushed. Chapter 2948. King of the Resplendent Starry Sky 3. A roar could be heard coming from the center of the colored glaze region. Roving Crab's gigantic body circled in the void. He raised his head high, exuding a mighty aura. Dragon King, it's done. He looked in Wang Xian's direction with excitement. Very strong. Wang Xian praised with a smile. Hee hee. Aoxia chuckled as he transformed into his human form and flew over. Behind him, there were countless corpses scattered in the void. Two devils' dens floated in the void without any aura. Instead, they looked sad and beautiful. In less than 3 minutes, Aoxia had finished off all the demons in the two devils' dens. Tianjin moved and collected the surrounding corpses. Let's go and take a look inside the devil's den and upgrade the dragon palace. As Wang Xian spoke, he flew towards one of the devil's dens. The entire devil's den was filled with a violent and bloody aura, similar to what he had seen on Earth. The huge devil's den was bigger than a planet, and it was filled with an unpleasant smell. Dragon King, our devouring dragon can devour this devil's den. If we devour the entire devil's den, we can add another third-order god emperor to our ranks. Aoxia sized up the entire devil's den. The devil's den was like a swallow's nest, built with various materials and their own energy. This kind of devil's den was unique. It was different from a god kingdom and a divine artifact, but it could be summoned out. It was a very special kind of energy. And the devouring dragon could devour this kind of energy directly. The energy contained in the entire devil's den was enough to create a third-order god emperor devouring dragon. Aoxia, your devouring dragon can devour anything. If you attack the enchantment region, you will be able to get a huge boost. Tianjin followed behind and said with a smile. Our devouring dragon is the core of the insect race in the universe. We can devour 80% of the energy in the universe. Naturally, we can devour this energy. Aoxia said. Tiske, other than these, there are many nests of demons in the devil's den. These nests are similar to a god kingdom. Your devouring dragon will be able to obtain a huge amount of resources. Tianjin said in astonishment. This was the pinnacle race in the universe. Ordinary races couldn't be compared to them. Hee hee. Aoxia opened his mouth and laughed happily. Now that the devouring dragon had 1,000,000 members, its strength was much stronger than the other departments of the dragon palace. Moreover, this demon den was a resource. Every demon had their own nest in the demon denver. This nest was no different from a divine kingdom. It was also a huge source of energy. In other words, these two devils' dens could allow the devouring dragon to gain another 10 emperor god level members. The number of third-order god emperor realm experts would increase by 3. The three of them flew towards the depths of the devil's cave and soon arrived at the lair of the celestial kings and evil demons. If he continued to fly deeper, he would reach the lair of a god emperor. The dragon palace still lacks the void kingdom of metal, wood, water, thunder, light, and darkness. Other than the light element, the dragon palace has all the others. Arriving at the depths, Wang Xian swept his gaze across. With a wave of his arm, he absorbed all the layers of various attributes into the dragon palace. Let's go take a look at the other devil's den. Very soon he searched the other demon den, but there were no light attribute god emperors or evil demon dens inside. This made him feel slightly helpless. There might be fewer light attribute fiends. Roving Crab, let your subordinates devour this devil cave, said Wang Xian to Roving Crab after flying out of the devil's cave. Yes, Dragon King. Roving Crab nodded immediately. Oh right. At this time Wang Xian suddenly raised an eyebrow as he thought of something. His body shook, and a corner of the Dragon Palace gradually appeared behind him. Unlie! Wang Xian shouted in a deep voice. Dragon King, I'm here. What's the matter, Dragon King? A despicable voice came from the Dragon Palace. With a thought he summoned a figure. The former Devil Dragon's son Unlie. Unlie had once integrated with the Devil Dragon's soul on Earth and became the Devil Dragon's son. Later he discovered that the body of the Devil Dragon was a little strange, so he came to the Boundless Star Field. In the Boundless Star Field, Enlai summoned a large number of demons and started a huge war. Later on, Wang Xian met him and gained control of the body of the Devil Dragon. Enlai also knelt down and begged for mercy. After that, the body of the Devil Dragon was taken away. Since then he had been staying in the Dragon Palace. Initially he mingled with Orochi and the rest. Later on he got along better with Feng Lingtian. Since then he had been cultivating in the Dragon Palace, and Wang Xian did not pay much attention to him. Prime Minister Turtle asked him to transform into a dragon, but he did not agree. He said he wanted to find an opportunity to evolve into a devil dragon. Now he had the combat power of a 9th-level God King. He was neither weak nor strong. It was said that this guy had found a dolphin girl as his girlfriend in the Dragon Palace. His days were comfortable. In fact, Enlai had lived for a long time. He was an expert who was resurrected when the spiritual energy on Earth was recovering. However, his identity seemed to be a villain. In the past, he had participated in the calamity of demons and demons on Earth. If he had not met the demons and demons, Wang Xian would have forgotten about this guy. Long live the Dragon King! Long live the Dragon King! Long live the Dragon King! As soon as Enlai appeared, he immediately knelt down in front of Wang Xian and shouted loudly. His shamelessness is comparable to that of the Yamada no Demon Sha. Tianjin said with a smile. Alright, let's see if this devil's den is familiar. Back then, you summoned quite a number of demons and demons. Wang Xian said to him speechlessly. Devil's den? Enlai looked at the devil's den with radiance flickering in his eyes. Dragon King, the level of this devil's den is really high. There are at least 3rd-order God Emperor demons and demons in it. He sized up the devil's den and commented in shock. Yes, you are more familiar with these demons and demons. Do you know how to control this devil's den? Wang Xian asked him. Dragon King, I'm very familiar with this devil's den. Before I was resurrected on Earth, I was infected by this devil's den and almost turned into a demon. When I received the information from the demons and demons, I was suddenly attacked and died. However, I know how to control this devil's den and how to summon demons and demons after my resurrection. Enlai patted his chest and said. Can you control these 2 devil's dens? Wang Xian asked him. Yes, I'll impart the control method to the leader of Roving Crab. With his dark and earth attribute energy he should be able to control it too. Enlai said. Alright, go and have a try. Wang Xian nodded and said to him. No problem. As Enlai spoke, he waved to Roving Crab and flew into the devil's den. Wang Xian and the rest followed behind immediately. Chapter 2949, The King of the Resplendent Starry Sky 4111. In the starry sky of the Lioli region, a devil's den hovering in the void trembled slightly and moved forward slowly. Enlai stood on what looked like an altar in the deepest part of the devil's den with a flushed face. Brother, the devil's den might be moving, but its flying speed isn't even as fast as a divine king. Aosia looked at Enlai speechlessly. Cough cough. It's mainly because I'm too weak. Moreover, I would need a massive amount of energy to activate such a huge devil's den. A devil's den needs to fly at high speed. Usually all the demons and evils are located in their nests. They will provide some propulsion. Enlai said. Tell me the method. I'll get my men to activate this devil's den. Aosia moved and immediately transformed into the devouring dragon. Millions of his subordinates flew out from his body. TSK. Aosia, you guys look more like demons and evils. Enlai looked at the devouring dragon and chuckled. Actually, evil creatures aren't very strong at the same level. They're special existences that mainly rely on this altar. Evil creatures call it the demonic soul altar. This altar allows them to go through a black hole transfer just like a transfer array. However, the activation of this teleportation array isn't up to the demons and evils. It requires a living being from another place to connect. To put it bluntly, this is an advanced teleportation array. If a living being is connected to the teleportation array, the demons and evils can be teleported over. For some reason, humans in some places have mastered this method. However, the demons and evils aren't sent over to be fighters. They want to plunder a world. If one isn't strong enough to suppress the demons and evils, they will easily be devoured. If they stay in the devil's den for a long period of time, they will easily be assimilated into demons and evils. The weaker one is, the easier it is for them to be assimilated into demons and evils. No, fuck. Suddenly, just as he was speaking with his head held high, Dark Blaze suddenly jumped up and tore off his shirt. Strange bloody scars appeared on his chest. Dragon King, save me. I'm going to be assimilated by the devil's Denver. I'm going to become an evil demon. Enlai shouted loudly. Wang Xian was taken aback as he looked at Enlai in shock. It can't be right? He was infected so quickly? He said in astonishment. Dragon King, this is a third-order God Emperor Realm Devil Denver. I'm weak, so it's natural that I would be infected. Enlai shouted. Then why haven't my subordinates changed at all? Aosia looked at his subordinates below the God Emperor realm and did not find anything strange. Big Brother Roving Crab, your subordinates are all dragon species with high bloodline grades. I haven't transformed into a dragon species yet, so I was infected. Enlai shouted. Don't worry. You've entered the Dragon Palace after all. You won't lose your mind. If you're really infected, just transform into a dragon. Tianjin sized Enlai up from the side, his eyes filled with curiosity. This strange ability is somewhat similar to that of witches. He murmured. Enlai wanted to vomit blood. He looked at his chest with a dark expression. He looked at the Dragon King and found that the Dragon King was also looking at him curiously and helplessly. Dragon King, I don't want to become a demon, Enlai said with a bitter face. It's okay. Let's see what happens in the end. If you get a blessing in disguise, you might evolve into a more powerful dragon species. Wang Xian comforted him. This made Enlai feel hopeless. He had become a lab rat. Roving Crab, get your subordinates to control the devil's den while devouring the lairs. Let's head to the region of enchantment. Wang Xian instructed Roving Crab. Yes, Dragon King. Roving Crab nodded and gestured to Enlai. Enlai told them how to control the devil's den. He stared at his body with a sorrowful face. Don't worry. I won't die. Even if I die, I can save you. Tianjin walked over, patted his shoulder, and consoled him. It's okay, brother Tianjin. It's my duty to sacrifice for the Dragon Palace. Enlai lifted his head and said righteously. Yes. Come, let me study your body. How did you get infected and how did you get infected? Tianjin chuckled and brought Enlai to the side. Brother Tianjin, what are you doing? A horrified voice was heard. Buzz. At this time, the colossal devil's den was activated. The colossal devil's den flew forward rapidly. Wang Xian glanced at Tianjin with a smile before flying to the exit of the devil's den. The speed is so fast. It's not any slower than a third-order God Emperor in the Void region. In fact, it's even faster. Wang Xian looked at it in shock. As the devil's den was too huge, even a slight movement would take a long distance. This made the speed of the devil's den extremely fast. In the void, the two huge devil's dens flew rapidly towards the region of enchantment. After flying for 2 days, the devil's den had passed through half of the Lioli region and was getting closer to the region of enchantment. The demons that invaded the Lioli region should only be these 4 great devil's dens. Wang Xian thought to himself. He took out the communication stone plate and sent a message to the territorial lord. Buzz. At the same time, in the void between the Lioli region and the sacred region, the territorial lord was excited when he saw Wang Xian's message. Dragon King sent a message. The 2 great devil's dens in the Lioli region have been destroyed by the Dragon Palace. He couldn't help but shout in a low voice. Territorial lord, the other 2 devil's dens have been destroyed by the Dragon King as well? Hiss so fast. It hasn't been long and the Dragon King has already destroyed the other 2 devil's dens. That's great. Territorial lord, can we return to the Lioli region now? Excited voices came from the surrounding god emperors. They stood up, their faces filled with shock and excitement. As they were worried that the other 2 devil's dens might be chasing after them, the group of experts from the Dragon Palace did not leave. However, the Dragon King had already destroyed the other 2 devil's dens before the experts from the Dragon Palace left. What did this mean? This meant that the Dragon Palace might have more than a dozen Third-Order God Emperor Realm experts. More than a dozen Third-Order God Emperor Realm experts? This power was too terrifying. It could easily sweep across the entire resplendent starry sky. The Dragon King said that the two devils' dens and their leaders have been destroyed. As for whether there are more devils' dens in the Lioli region, he doesn't know. The Dragon King is currently leading experts into the region of enchantment. The territorial lord said in shock. The fact that the experts from the Dragon Palace could easily destroy the other two devils' dens had already shocked them. The Dragon King had also easily destroyed the other two devils' dens. Now that he had entered the region of enchantment, the territorial lord was even more shocked. The strength of the Dragon Palace might be stronger than they had imagined. Chapter 2950. The Dragon King is leading experts into the enchantment region? My goodness. Now that the Mechanic Emperor region has been destroyed by the Dragon Palace, they will definitely be able to sweep through the enchantment region and eliminate the two threats to our Lioli region. The strength of the Dragon Palace is too heaven-defying. They rose in the Imperial Star region, annihilated the Imperial Court, and then swept through the Heavenly Witch region. Now, they are helping our Lioli region to regain our territory and wipe out the Mechanic Emperor region. Next, they might even wipe out the enchantment region. They are sweeping through the entire resplendent starry sky. When the group of God Emperors heard the words of the territorial lord, their faces were filled with shock. In recent years, the Dragon Palace had risen strongly and swept through the entire resplendent starry sky. With their strength, the Dragon Palace had created a throne in the resplendent starry sky. An invincible throne. With such strength, who wouldn't be convinced? The four devils' dens that invaded our Lioli region have been annihilated. There shouldn't be any other powerful devils' dens in the Lioli region now. If the experts from the Dragon Palace are following us, we can return now. The region lord stood there and said with twinkling eyes. We should be safe now. No matter how perverted the enchantment region is, there shouldn't be any powerful demons left. The Emperor God beside him said. Inform the Dragon Palace to wipe out all the demons for us and let us return to our homeland. In the future, the Dragon Palace will be the ruler of the Lioli region. The members of the Dragon Palace will be the benefactors of the Lioli region. The region lord immediately said to the Emperor Gods. Yes, region lord. The Emperor Gods responded and immediately organized the return of the people of the Lioli region. The Dragon Palace has resolved a huge crisis for the Lioli region. Doesn't that mean they have resolved a huge crisis for the sacred region? Announced that the Dragon Palace will be the ruler of the sacred region. In the future, the Dragon King will be the ruler of everyone in the resplendent starry sky. The sacred lord stood at the side and gave an order with a smile. The Dragon Palace was too strong now. They were so strong that if the Dragon Palace wanted to annihilate them, they could just send an expert from the Dragon Palace. Facing such a force, how could they not submit? Fortunately, Xiao Yin has a good relationship with the Dragon Palace. She will give the Dragon Palace a lot of resources every year and protect the sacred region. Moreover, the Dragon Palace doesn't care about the domains. This won't affect the sacred region. Sacred Lord rejoiced in his heart. The Dragon King has led the experts of the Dragon Palace to help us destroy the four devils' dens in the Lioli region. We can go back now. That's great, that's great. Our region master and a group of Emperor Gods have personally ordered that in order to thank the Dragon King for helping the Dragon Palace, the Lioli region will respect the Dragon Palace and the Dragon King as our king. The Dragon Palace is the supreme ruler, and the Dragon King should be the king. The Dragon King saved all of us and allowed us to return to the Lioli domain. They are our saviors. The news quickly spread to everyone in the Lioli region. When they heard the news, they immediately became excited. Back home. As for the Dragon Palace and the Dragon King being the king, they felt that it was only right. The Dragon Palace was powerful and had saved all of their lives, helping them regain their homeland. The Dragon King was their king. Who was not convinced? It was the same for the sacred region. The Dragon Palace suppressed everything with its mighty strength. Let's go back to the colored glaze region. The region master said to celebrate when we return to the Lioli region. He invited the Dragon King over to thank the Dragon King. Although the Lioli region suffered heavy losses this time, the threats from the Mechanic Emperor region and the Enchantment region have all been resolved by the Dragon Palace. We can recover from these losses soon. The Dragon Palace is invincible, the Dragon King is invincible. In the void, on the stars, in the holy kingdoms, the people of the Lioli region who had survived the disaster and could return home were filled with excitement. They cheered and celebrated. In the end, the words, "The Dragon Palace is invincible, the Dragon King is invincible," reverberated throughout the void. The people of the Lioli region began their journey home. At the border of the enchantment region, 2 huge devil's dens appeared. The devil's dens stopped. It was not Wang Xian who ordered them to stop, but something unexpected happened. Dragon King Enlai is out of his mind. He has been completely assimilated, Tianjin said with a complicated expression as he walked over with Enlai, whose body was covered with various blood-red lines. Wang Xian's expression changed slightly when he saw Enlai's state. Enlai is someone who has made the great leap. How can he be assimilated? How can he lose his consciousness? His eyebrows were tightly knitted and filled with shock. Dragon King, I realized that the altar is not simple. It should be a special treasure. This altar has the characteristics of void teleportation, just like a black hole in the universe. In the case of teleportation, it can shrink the teleportation object. Tianjin said. Shrink the teleportation object? Wang Xian was slightly surprised. Yes, Dragon King. In other words, the 1,000-meter altar can teleport the entire devil's den and all the living creatures in it. It's also because of this characteristic that demons can be summoned to other voids. Tianjin said. Wang Xian nodded his head, looked at Enlai, and patted his shoulder. Brr, brr. A low roar came from his mouth. He looked at Wang Xian with fear and obedience. Although he had lost his consciousness, he still had 100% obedience to Wang Xian. Let's see if the consuming embryo can help him recover. Wang Xian moved his palm and a consuming embryo appeared in his hand. The consuming embryo was the pinnacle treasure in the universe. The consuming embryo could give a withered grass sentience instantly. It could enhance the perception and spirituality of any living creature. It was extremely powerful. Wang Xian took out the consuming embryo and placed it in Enlai's mouth. The consuming embryo entered his stomach and was digested quickly. Enlai's eyes became clearer. Only a little? Wang Xian frowned slightly. He took out another consuming embryo and placed it in Enlai's mouth. There were hundreds of consuming embryo in the Dragon Palace. Could be wasted. 1, 2, 3. A total of 10 consuming embryo were placed in Enlai's mouth. His body began to change gradually. The blood-red lines on his body were changing. His body had also undergone a slight change. This is? Tianjin stared at the lines on Enlai's body, his eyes flickering. Dragon King, the lines on his body are exactly the same as the lines on the altar. Why are there such changes? He couldn't help but exclaim as he stared closely. Wow, Dragon King, I've finally recovered. I don't want to be a lab rat anymore. At this moment, Enlai opened his mouth and spoke with a miserable look. Huh? Recovered? Chapter 2951. Enlai's transformation on Dragon King. I've recovered. I felt like I was dead just now. Enlai looked at Wang Xian and spoke with a miserable face. As he spoke, he looked at his own body and had the urge to vomit blood. My incomparably handsome face, how did it become like this? He screamed mournfully. Do you feel anything now? Wang Xian asked with a darkened face. Feeling? Enlai touched his body and examined it from head to toe. After which, he looked into the depths of the Devil's Cave. Dragon King, I feel a strong attraction from the depths of the Devil's Cave. He said. Is that so? Let's go over. Wang Xian moved and brought Enlai along as he flew inside. Tianjin was deep in thought as he followed behind. His eyes were flickering. Dragon King, that sacrificial altar is giving me a strong attraction, Gu Xinwei said. Enlai said as they neared the depths of the Devil's Cave. Wang Xian let go of him and looked at Enlai. Enlai stared at the altar. He moved and came to the sky above the altar, looking down. At this moment, the entire altar emitted a mysterious energy that surged towards Enlai. Enlai sensed this energy and slowly opened his arms. Waves of black energy mixed with blood-red energy flowed into his body. At the same time, the patterns on the altar disappeared rapidly. 5 minutes later, the entire altar seemed to have disappeared. The blood-red patterns on Enlai's body gave off a strange glow. It was as though he had become the altar. This is? Enlai's eyes widened as he stared at his body in shock. What's going on? Wang Xian stared at Enlai and asked. Dragon King, I have a special ability. Enlai swallowed his saliva and said. What ability? Wang Xian asked immediately. Dragon King, look. As Enlai spoke, he appeared on the right side of Wang Xian in the next moment. This caused his pupils to shrink slightly, and a look of shock appeared in his eyes. Teleportation. It was truly teleportation. It was as though time didn't exist. Enlai teleported from his side to his side. In the next moment, Enlai disappeared and appeared beside Tianjin. Dragon King, don't resist. As Enlai spoke, Wang Xian felt a surge of energy shrouding him. In the next moment he found himself in another devil's cave. What a fast teleportation this! Tianjin's eyes widened and his face was filled with shock. What do you think, Dragon King? Ah, that's amazing. Teleportation, that's the special ability of the altar. Enlai roared excitedly. Tell me the details. Wang Xian's eyes flickered. Dragon King, I don't know why either. I just know that I can teleport. As long as my mind can react, I can teleport to another place without any time. There's something else that's very scary, and that's that it's not obstructed by objects. Enlai was so excited that he almost wanted to roar. Unobstructed by objects? Tianjin's heart skipped a beat. He waved his arm and an array formation enveloped Enlai. Buzz. The array formation enveloped Enlai, but in the next moment, Enlai instantly teleported out. Wang Xian and Tianjin exchanged glances and couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. Tianjin's array formation was a trapping array. Even a first-order God Emperor wouldn't be able to escape from it. Yet Enlai, a ninth-order God King, could escape in an instant. Is this what it means to be unobstructed by objects? To be unobstructed by anything? This ability is too insane. Teleportation that ignores array formations and objects. Unless it's a special attack, it's hard to kill him. If his strength increases, he'll be even more terrifying. Tianjin couldn't help but comment. Moreover, he can teleport with others. Is there a limit to the number of people you can teleport with? Wang Xian stared at Enlai and asked. I don't know, Dragon King. I don't know where the limit is either. However, teleportation with others isn't as simple as you think. Enlai said. Wang Xian looked at him. Dragon King, there's a condition to teleport with others. That's where the altar is. I can only bring people to the side of the altar. Enlai said. Altar. Wang Xian and Tianjin were deep in thought. Enlai's current transformation seems to be him becoming the carrier of the altar. However, the altar itself doesn't have any energy. It only has the characteristics of teleportation. Enlai was infected by the aura of the altar and was saved by Yi Changtai. Be it the energy of the altar or Yi Changtai, both are very unique. These two unique energies have formed his unique physique. He has this unique ability, active teleportation. His essence is still an altar that can teleport people. However, there's a condition for teleportation, which is the location of another altar. Tianjin said. Enlai, tell me about the method to summon demons. I have an experiment. Wang Xian nodded his head and said to Enlai. Yes, Dragon King. Enlai nodded his head and immediately imparted the method to summon demons to Wang Xian. To summon demons, an altar had to be built first. The altar was the same as the one in the Devil's Denver. The difference was that it didn't require special materials. All it had to do was contain energy. After the altar was built, fresh blood would be dripped on it. The stronger the blood, the stronger the demon would be summoned. However, it didn't mean that it could be summoned every time. In fact, it might not even succeed once in 100 attempts. This was because demons could choose whether they wanted to be summoned or not. Demons were summoned to conquer a part of the starry sky. If the summoner was too strong, they would not go over. Wang Xian simply built an altar and looked at Enlai. Dragon King, I can sense this altar. Although it's very weak, it can teleport people over. Enlai said immediately. In this case, we can catch them off guard. Wang Xian murmured. This ability is insane. For example, if we enter a powerful treasure land and there's a defensive array around it, it won't work on Enlai. Enlai can also teleport over, set up an altar, and then bring people over. Moreover, this kind of teleportation is much faster than returning to a god nation. With just a thought, he can teleport to another place. If we set up an altar in the Dragon Palace, Enlai can bring us back to the Dragon Palace in an instant even if we encounter danger or are trapped by an array, regardless of any obstacles. Tianjin's eyes flickered as he spoke. That should be the case. Enlai said with a grin. It's indeed insane. Wang Xian nodded his head solemnly. Chapter 2952. Enlai's mutation next. Enlai, how far can you go if you teleport now? Tianjin stared at Enlai and asked. My strength is too weak. I can only teleport within a radius of 100 million kilometers. But after I teleport to 100 million kilometers, I can continue teleporting another 100 million kilometers within this range. If I want to travel across the entire Lioli region, I might only need a few dozen seconds. Enlai grinned and said excitedly, "This speed is unbelievable. If you want to kill someone, you can come to them with a single thought, kill them instantly, and leave?" Wang Xian stared at him. This ability was too heaven-defying. He could do anything with just a thought, but he couldn't do it. To launch an attack, he had to gather his energy and release it. This required a process. But he didn't need a process. There was only a beginning and an end. "If you evolve into a Spinosaurus, won't you be unbelievable?" Wang Xian stared at him and asked again. "Dragon King, there's no such good thing. If I evolve into a Spinosaurus, my energy will disappear. Moreover, I realize that it might be difficult for me to improve in the future." Enlai's face fell at the mention of improvement. "If I want to improve my strength, I need to absorb the energy from the sacrificial altar. Without this energy, I will never be able to improve and cultivate," he said with a complicated expression. His current teleportation ability was too unbelievable. But it seemed to be very difficult to improve. Only the energy from the sacrificial altar could help him improve. Without it, he would remain at the Immortal King realm forever. At this realm, his lifespan was less than 1,000,000. "Is that so? But that's normal. Your ability is too unbelievable. Even the pinnacle races in the universe don't have such a terrifying ability," Wang Xian said. "But Dragon King, I can feel that there are many, many coordinates in my mind. There are so many that I can't even count them. I can teleport there with just a thought." At this moment, Enlai spoke again. "There's such a situation?" Wang Xian and the rest were taken aback. "There are countless coordinates in your mind. This means that there are sacrificial altars or man-made summoning altars. If it's an altar, you can absorb the energy to evolve," Tianjin said to him. Enlai nodded. "Why don't you try teleporting over?" Tianjin continued. "I can sense that the closest coordinate to me is the enchantment region up ahead. The other coordinates feel very far away. I don't know where they are," Enlai said. "Teleporting over and then teleporting back with your reaction speed, unless it's an existence above God Emperor, no one can stop you," Heavenly Formation said to him. "Then I'll give it a try. Go to a distant coordinate." Dark Lai hesitated for a moment, then disappeared. But just as his figure disappeared, he reappeared in an instant. In such a short time, Wang Xian and the Sky Array could not react in time. But at this time, blood was slowly flowing out of his eyes, nose, mouth and ears, and his body was trembling. So scary, too scary, I won't teleport randomly anymore." Enlai threw his head back and cried. Blood mixed with tears flowed down his face. Although Enlai looked comical at the moment, Wang Xian and the Sky Formation exchanged a look of astonishment. Enlai had teleported back. They hadn't been able to react in time, and Enlai had suffered a terrifying attack. What kind of existence could injure Enlai in such a short period of time? He was definitely above a god emperor. "Enlai, what did you see?" Wang Xian asked him. "I didn't see anything. I only felt a pair of eyes looking at me. Luckily I escaped fast enough. Gosh, I was scared to death. I'll never teleport randomly in the future." Enlai shouted, still in a state of shock. "I felt a pair of eyes looking at you." Wang Xian gasped and was shocked to the core. Such an existence was definitely a top-notch expert in the universe. "Your injuries aren't too serious." "I'm fine." Wang Xian comforted him. "I'm fine. It's all thanks to your blessing, Dragon King." Enlai nodded, recovered, and flattered Wang Xian at the same time. "Don't teleport to the distant coordinates. Go to the Qimei region and take a look." "Are there many coordinates in the Qimei region?" Wang Xian instructed him. Dragon King, Qimei region doesn't pose any danger to you. With your mind's reaction, even if an Emperor God expert wanted to kill you, he would have to know where you would appear in advance and release an attack in advance, waiting for you to arrive. Otherwise you would be able to escape easily." Wang Xian interrupted him and said to him. "It's my duty." Enlai nodded heavily and squeezed out a smile. "Dragon King, we've conquered the Qimei region. How about letting me absorb all the energy from the sacrificial altars there? I'll give you half. The Dragon Palace needs to nurture another ability user like you. There are still many eternal fetus fruits left in the Dragon Palace." Wang Xian told him the truth. "Dragon King, I'm a rare exception in the universe. I'm a 1 in a billion genius and an existence that can't be replicated. Consuming the eternal fetus fruit and being infected by the sacrificial altars doesn't mean one can have a constitution like mine," Enlai said reluctantly. "All right, let's get to work." Wang Xian patted him on the shoulder. "Yes, Dragon King. There are over 10,000 sacrificial altars in the Qimei region. I'll report them to you one by one. Enlai said with a bitter face. Bring this with you. Once you're in a devil's lair, you'll be able to scan the strength of the surrounding demons within a second. The heavenly formation gave him a compass and said to him, Yes, I'll definitely complete the mission. Enlai nodded and disappeared instantly. Enlai's ability is insane. Although he's only a 9th level Immortal God King now, he can easily kill an unguarded Pinnacle God King. Wang Xian said. If the Celestial Emperor isn't prepared, he can severely injure the Celestial Emperor with a sharp weapon. But once he's prepared, he won't be able to break through the defense. Tianjin nodded his head slightly. The energy from the sacrificial altars in the Qimei region should be able to help him improve. As Wang Xian spoke, he waited quietly at the spot. TSK. My speed is invincible. Those silly demons can't even see my shadow. Ah. 4 minutes later, Enlai's voice sounded. Enlai walked over from the side of the sacrificial altar with his head held high. He was full of pride. It was as though he wasn't the one who was bleeding from his 7 apertures. Dragon King, this is the information I've collected. Enlai passed Tianjin's communication stone plate to Wang Xian. Wang Xian immediately took it and looked at the information recorded on the stone plate. This is? When Wang Xian and Tianjin looked over, they were stunned. There were 15 black dots on it. Chapter 2953, The Terrifying Demons of Qimei Territory. 15 black dots. How can there be so many? Wang Xian and Tianjin were shocked when they saw these black dots. Tianjin's detection array compass indicated that the red dots represented those weaker than him, which was below 3rd Order God Emperor Realm, including 3rd Order God Emperor Realm demons. The black dots represented 3rd Order God Emperor Realm demons and above. 3rd Order God Emperor Realm and above? This kind of existence could easily destroy the entire Colored Glaze region and the entire bedazzling starry sky. How could there be 15 of them? In the past, some disciples of Colored Glaze region and Demon region could enter the territory to train. Now, there were so many terrifying existences inside. Luckily, I didn't rush in recklessly. Otherwise, I might have been in danger. Wang Xian pursed his lips and stared at the last 2 black dots, then at Tianjin. 5th Order God Emperor. These 2 black dots represent 5th Order God Emperor Realm demons. Tianjin also took a deep breath. His heart was shaken. Enlai, where are these black dots located in Qimei territory? He stared at Enlai and asked. I teleported from afar to near. These black dots are located in the deepest part of Qimei territory. Are there 5th Order God Emperor demons there? That's nothing, right? I can still come and go as I please. Enlai was slightly shocked, but he said proudly. A 5th Order God Emperor Realm demon posed no threat to him. Naturally, he could not threaten a 5th Order God Emperor Realm demon either. The deepest part? That's good. Wang Xian heaved a sigh of relief. His eyes sparkled. With Enlai here, it might not be a bad thing for us to have so many powerful demons. Yes, Enlai can teleport us to the deepest part of a devil cave. We just need to kill the demons in the devil cave quickly, and the demons in other devil caves won't be able to discover us. We can nibble away at Qimei territory bit by bit and increase the strength of the Dragon Palace. According to the detection of this array, there are thousands of God Emperor Realm demons in Qimei territory. Tianjin's eyes sparkled. Although he didn't understand why there were so many terrifying existences in the Qimei region, it wasn't necessarily a bad thing for the Dragon Palace. Enlai will take action immediately. Teleport to the nearest devil's den and investigate the strength of the evil creatures there. We'll start clearing the area from the edges. Wang Xian immediately instructed Enlai. Dragon King, the few thousand devil's lairs nearby are very weak. I can destroy them all. I'll bring you there. Enlai immediately said. Wang Xian nodded his head. Let's go. Enlai said. In the next moment they disappeared and appeared in a cave. This cave was much smaller than the one Wang Xian and the rest had obtained. The demonic aura in it was also very weak. They're just a bunch of weaklings. You don't have to do anything, Dragon King. I'll deal with them. After saying that, Enlai's figure instantly disappeared. Pu. With the terrifying power of teleportation, he began a frenzied massacre. When you saw him raise a dagger in his hand, the next moment he teleported to the top of a demon's head, and the dagger sank into it. At this speed, Wang Xian and the rest could only keep up with their eyes. The strongest demon here is only a 3rd Order God King. It's a little weak. Wang Xian said as he looked around. This should be the enchantment region that the Liuli region knows about. The demons in the devil's lairs aren't very strong. Tianjin said. Wang Xian nodded his head. Dragon King, all the demons are settled. Enlai appeared in front of Wang Xian a few minutes later and said, Try to absorb this altar and see how much you can improve. Wang Xian said to him. Yes, Dragon King. Enlai nodded his head. His eyes lit up as he teleported to the altar. He stood on it and closed his eyes slightly. He could see the patterns on the altar crawling towards him. Gradually, all the patterns entered his body. Too little. This is too little. My strength hasn't changed at all. Only my teleportation distance has increased by a few thousand kilometers. Soon Enlai's dissatisfied voice sounded. That's enough. Wuxia, place a devouring dragon here to devour this nest and the devil's lairs. Let's go to the next place. Wang Xian said. Wuxia nodded his head and immediately ordered an 8th Order God King devouring dragon to devour this devil's lairs. Subsequently, Enlai led them into the second devil's lairs. It was still a weak and small devil's lairs. Enlai cleared them quickly. After Wuxia placed the weakest devouring dragon in it, they continued their mission. In the next half a month they started hunting in the devil's lairs. In this half a month, they had wiped out 10,000 devil's lairs and obtained a large number of corpses. 10,000 devil's lairs. However, although they had wiped out many devil's lairs, the total amount of resources was less than 1/20th of the resources of the leader of the Qi, Mei, Wang, Liang and demons. Among these 10,000 devil's lairs, only the last 100 had Pinnacle God King Realm demons. The rest were below Pinnacle God King Realm. For the current Dragon Palace, this kind of resources was no longer something they could covet. Dragon King, there are still over 800 devil's lairs. The next ones will all have God Emperor Realm demons. Enlai reported to Wang Xian after sensing the remaining coordinates. Finally, we've reached the devil's lairs with God Emperor Realm demons. The resources in the previous devil's lairs are too little. Wang Xian nodded with a smile on his face. Let's do it then. Let's hope the energy from the sacrificial altars in the devil's lairs can improve my strength. Enlai mumbled to himself as he disappeared with Wang Xian and the rest. When they reappeared, the heaven array arm waved and struck immediately. BFFF. In the deepest part of the devil's lairs, the First Order God Emperor Realm demon didn't even have time to react before it was killed by the heaven array. Leave no one alive. Wuxia ordered his subordinates around him. In an instant, 10 Third Order God Emperor Realm devouring dragons charged towards the demons in the devil's lairs. Such a weak devil's lairs couldn't even put up any resistance in front of 10 Third Order God Emperor Realm devouring dragons. I've absorbed over 10,000 sacrificial altars. Let's hope I can improve this time. Enlai came to the top of the sacrificial altar and looked at the patterns surging into his body. Ka. Very soon, a crisp sound came from Enlai's body and an even more powerful aura shot out from his body. Aha, I've improved. I've finally improved. Enlai's excited voice came from his mouth. After absorbing so much energy from the sacrificial altars, his strength rose from the 9th Order Immortal King Realm to the Pinnacle Immortal King Realm. It wasn't easy. Wang Xian and the rest looked over and smiled. The stronger Enlai's strength, the faster his reaction speed, the faster his teleportation speed, and the further he could travel. His improvement was still very useful. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.